Behind me, what you see is Boeing 787 Dreamliner cockpit. It is the same aircraft in which the Ahmedabad Air India plane crash incident that has happened. Now, if you look, this is the Boeing 787 Dreamliner cockpit in which you'll see the pilot seat, the co-pilot seat, and all the technical operations that are usually made in an aircraft. This is that very place. Now, this is an image, a photograph that has been framed and put up into one of such homes that is situated in Mumbai. But the person to whom this home belongs to has had not a very good experience while flying with Air India just a few days ago, before this plane crash incident has happened. We are speaking to Mr. Ajay Upadhayay, who was supposed to fly from Frankfurt to back to Bombay, and this was on the 29th of May. But because of some foul smell and some technical glitch that came into the Air India plane, the aircraft, it was the same Dreamliner aircraft, because of which they had to board their flight the very next day, and the flight on that very day was cancelled. We've got Mr. Ajay Upadhayay to speak to us. So to start with, what was the incident, and could you please narrate it a bit for our viewers to understand it better?
At the outset, I would like to express my deep condolence for the tragic incident which has happened in Ahmedabad. My heartfelt condolence to the family of the people who have lost their life. It is really a tragic incident. Today, I would like to say that I was traveling from Stockholm to Mumbai, and my flight was from Stockholm, Frankfurt, Mumbai. I'm a frequent flyer of Air India, so I always like to buy a Air India ticket, and I was on the same way. My flight from Frankfurt to Mumbai was supposed to was at 8:20 p.m. 8:20 p.m. on 29th of May. We boarded the flight. The flight was on schedule. The aircraft moved from the parking bay towards the runway. During that process, we always go through the security and the safety measures being announced. There is a television screen on the front of your seat, and this demonstration was going on. As soon as we reached towards the takeoff point, the aircraft had stopped, and maybe within a few seconds we came across some foul smell. I can say it was something like a burning smell, maybe some wire or something. When it gets burnt in our home, we get a particular smell. So that type of smell came in the cabin. Myself, along with my other co-passengers, we made some noise, and then the crew came near to us. They asked us about the whole thing, and then they also found the smell. They went and reported to the captain. The captain also verified it. The plane was stranded there, aircraft was stranded there for around 20 minutes, and then it was again brought back. It was announced that the aircraft is going to go back to the parking bay, and the necessary investigations will be done towards the foul smell. We came back to the parking bay, and then we found that a few engineers, they embarked on the aircraft. They started looking here and there, and it took around 45 minutes, something like that. And then at around 10:30 or 10:30 p.m., we got an announcement, internal announcement, where it was told that the airport, the Frankfurt airport, doesn't allow takeoff and landing from 11 p.m. till 6 a.m. in the morning. Therefore, the technical problem resolution will take time, and we would be disembarked from the aircraft and taken to the hotel. Maybe within 15-20 minutes, we were disembarked from the aircraft. We were taken to the immigration. Immigration happened, and then we were put in the hotel. In the morning, we were expecting that our flight should be ready, but then we got a message that it is slightly delayed. The delay was from initially it was 10 a.m., then 2 p.m., 3 p.m., 5 p.m. At 5 p.m., we were asked to come to the airport. We came at the airport. We got our immigration clearance and all those things done, and thereafter we entered inside the aircraft. I happen to be a person, I usually start, when I enter inside the aircraft, I talk to the air hostess or the people sitting next to me. And I spoke to one of the crew member, and she said that she was the same crew which was there a day before. So she said that we were also in the same hotel. They were also in the same hotel, and they said that this is the same aircraft, the repair has been done, and now we are taking off. So we were in a bit concerned, and I brought this point to the crew member, that has it taken so long time? Was it a major fault? She said, sir, sorry, we don't know about it. And obviously the crew is not knowing. So our flight took off at around 11 p.m. the next day, that is 30th May, and that was a delay of around 24 to 26 hours.
So also to understand from you, you highlighted a very important point here that it was because of you guys tried to make noise and because of the foul smell that you all noticed, you immediately brought this to the crew's notice and which is why it was delayed. But do you think that the airplane incident that has happened in Ahmedabad, there could be some technical glitches in that as well and it could have been aborted or avoided, if this would had been known before? Because like you just spoke about your incident, if the flight would have taken off, it could have been something even more absurd. So do you think that it was a good thing that it was that you guys had delayed your trip? At the same time, this could have been somewhere happened in Ahmedabad as well.
Obviously, what you are saying is fully correct. It could be a disaster, no doubt in that. It could be a disaster because thank God that the smell which we found was when the flight was on the ground. If it had been in air, oh, really, too bad. We just cannot imagine. And we have made a group of all those around 300 people who were there in Frankfurt in the hotel. And on the group, as soon as this incident of Ahmedabad was highlighted, lot of messages started floating from all the my colleagues or my friends who were there in that particular flight. And I was really so yeah. Everybody was praying to God that it was a blessing in disguise. I can say that.
That this incident was prevented. Also, we have got the tickets in which it is clearly mentioned that he was traveling from Frankfurt to Bombay, and the date is mentioned to be 29th May, whereas the delayed flight that took place was on the 30th. However, Air India has given the date to be as 29th May itself, because of course they've got their own details and technicalities to be fulfilled, but at the same time, questions are raised about the safety of passengers, and because of the presence of mind that they had, that they tried to get it to their notice, and immediately this could have been avoided, and it was avoided. But then again, questions are now being risen about the Ahmedabad plane crash. Let us, sir, to know from you lastly, now that you told us that you are a frequent flyer, especially with Air India, after the merger, again there were speculations that there could be much improvement in this particular airline. But now that this incident has happened, do you think that you'll be a bit dicey or double-minded when it comes to traveling from the same airline? And also, what would be your reaction before booking a flight, especially overseas? Because one of the major reason for the flight to crash was the presence of lakhs of liters of fuel. So a lot of things to come in mind before flying. What would be your status on that?
I'm an optimistic person. I think this is one of the incidents which has happened in Ahmedabad. This should not stop people from flying on the airlines. So, if you ask me, honestly, I have the same confidence which I had before this incident. However, I would like to highlight one very important thing. Since the acquisition of Air India with Tata was announced, and I am a frequent flyer, previously also I used to fly with Air India, but then I used to try to avoid going with Air India. But now, after Tata has taken over, I see that there is a lot of good things happening. A lot of improvements are there. There is always a scope of improvement for further times. But notwithstanding, things are going quite good with Tata. Tata is taking right care of people. For example, when we had this problem at Frankfurt, we were immediately put to the hotel. We were all the facilities, everything was immediately managed. Everything was done properly. And for your surprise, there was a compensation which Air India announced, 600 euros. And I believe that all my colleagues who are there in the WhatsApp group, we all have received that 600 euros as a compensation. So processes are good, things are good. One incident happens, but that incident should not it is one of the odd incident, let me be honest.
It is an odd incident, and though it claimed more than 270 lives so far, but yet passengers are of the view that they are still hopeful that improvements will be made, and especially when it comes to Air India, they have their faith entrusted into this airline. However, how does Air India work towards getting it resolved, especially after this particular incident, and getting the faith of its passengers back is a big question and a project for them. However, at this point, we spoke to Mr. Ajay Upadhayay, who spoke about his incident that he faced while he was traveling back to Bombay from Frankfurt, and that is when in the same aircraft of the Dreamliner project. There was a foul smell which they noticed, and immediately it was brought to their notice, to the crew's notice, and after which this incident, especially a major incident, was avoided and aborted because of the presence of mind of the crew and the authorities of the airline. With video journalist Rajendra Dayalkar, this is Sujata Dwivedi reporting for NDTV.